Hi, how's it going? I'm Marlena. Thanks for wandering by. So this is my month gone by video, and in this video I like to reflect upon the previous month, and this is going to be reflecting upon November 2022 to kind of review, reflect, and give you my thoughts on the particular tarot and oracle decks that I worked with for this past month, and also, maybe share with you some stuff that's been going on with me. But mostly it's gonna be about tarot and oracle and how my practice, manifested and what I did this particular month. So these videos, I usually film them top down. I'm trying something different this time, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah, typically these are longer videos, so hang out with me for a while, follow me through all these decks. I tend to use lots of decks in one month for various different things. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started with that. Usually what I do to start off with is show you my journal. And this is the journal that I've been using for October and now November. And it's gonna be kaput after this. I filled it up with those 2 months. This is a cool sticker that I got from the Marigold Tarot that I used in October. And this was just like a journal that was on clearance at Barnes & Noble. But yeah, so what I usually do at the beginning of the month is set up my journal. I mean, I do a little bit of decorating, but as you all know, I'm not, fancy. So what I did at the beginning of the year was I did a year ahead reading, and I used the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot and the Sacred Creators Oracle. I no longer have the Sacred Creators Oracle. I think I tell you that every single month. But anyway, so I did that year ahead reading, so I always revisit my January journal. So the card of the month from the Waite-Smith for the month of November was the Ten of Swords. And the oracle card said, integrate your knowing. So when I think about that, and I think about what the month of November was like for me, those two ring pretty true. I've had, if you've been along with me for a little while, you'll know that I had to move a couple of times, and that my partner was ill in September, and there's just a lot going on in my personal life. So this month, there was just like a lot of, the last few months before November was just like a lot of busyness. There was a lot to do, there's a lot going on, and I couldn't slow down and think about anything. And in November, I really had the chance to kind of slow down, and it was really like the breaking down and the end of a lot of really toxic, negative thinking that I had going on. And it just there was the end of a number of things across, and it wasn't like a really bad thing. It was just like something that needed to happen, like a certain way of thinking about different, things in my life. So that definitely makes sense. And to integrate my knowing, so like in different places in my life, with my interpersonal relationships, my work stuff, things kind of like a certain way of being, a certain patterns, thinking patterns I had developed over time needed to stop. And I kind of had some, epiphanies and realizations about that, and take the ideas, that I have been learning recently and integrate that into my daily life. And so I would say, it's still a process, but I would say that, yeah, in November, that's, kind of what happened. So that's like the first place that I start in terms of, setting up and now reflecting upon my month. And then after that, I list the particular practices that I intend to work on throughout the month. And so, I mean, I showed you this page, but I'm gonna just talk about it. So as you may know, I am in Dawn Michelle's membership, and she does something called the Monthly Medicine, which is a guided tarot practice where she gives us, it's like a theme as well as prompts that you follow throughout the month. I've been doing that practice this entire year. And so I continued it in November. And so that is like, the Monthly Medicine like makes up the bulk of my tarot practice on a weekly basis. So I'll talk about that and show you the decks that I was using for that. I also have typically, before I got into the Monthly Medicine, and alongside it too, I usually try to pick up a tarot challenge, like from usually it's Lion Hearts, but I've done other ones, Lion Hearts on Instagram. I've fallen in and out of that practice, and as life, when it gets busy, I can't tarot as much as I want to. But this month I had picked up the Lionheart's November tarot, the Suits Revisited, and I started that, and I was using the Tarot of the Abyss for that particular practice, and I only did it about half the month. I'll just show you some cards from the Tarot of the Abyss. I've been I love this deck, but sometimes it doesn't really resonate for me. I don't know, and I wonder if these are in order of the suits, because what you were supposed to do for the tarot challenge is divide the deck up into the majors and the different suits, and then yeah, these are all the wands. I got through like 2 weeks of this, and then I stopped. It just wasn't, I don't know, it just other practices kind of took priority over it. This deck and I don't know, this deck I love when I look at it, but then when I read with it, it doesn't always, it kind of misses the mark in some ways for me. Like, I don't have a strong, immediate, like, emotional response to it in a reading. I do when I'm looking at it and I find it beautiful. And I wanted to bring it out this month in particular to kind of see, because I've used it before, and it just, there's something about it that, like, in the actual reading, it kind of, I don't know, falls a little bit flat for me, but I'm not sure if that'll always be the case. So it's not a deck that I'm going to move on. So yeah, like that, the tarot challenges, I find sometimes just a little bit lacking. Like, I need some more meat to it. I need some, I don't know, something else. And I feel like that's what the Monthly Medicine often does for me. Or when I just do kind of like my own, free form, whatever readings that I do, like, in the moment. I also got back into, or tried to get back into, doing moon readings, and I like to do moon readings on the full moon and the dark moon, and often I'll do, like, what ends up happening is that I end up doing one and not the other. It's been rare that I've gotten through a month where I've done both. I think I was really good about it. I like to do moon readings because I like to tap into the energy of the moon. It makes me feel, I also like to connect with goddess energy at that time. And I like to go from the dark moon to the full moon with that, like, energy of building, of increasing, for the full moon, trying to work with manifesting, and with the dark moon, kind of releasing or going internal. This month, the November 8th was the full moon in Taurus. This is the tarot deck that I used for the full moon in Taurus reading. And it is the Elemental Goddess Tarot. Here's the backs. I love this weird deck. I found this deck just like randomly searching on Etsy, and I really like it spoke to me and it called to me, and I think it's really pretty. It's very pippish. It's also like it doesn't know, I've talked about this deck before, it kind of doesn't know what it wants to be, because it pulls from all different time periods, and it is like, I guess it's digital art, but digital collage. I don't know. You guys that know that kind of stuff can tell me. But it's a little bit, it's super glossy, so it's reflecting quite a bit here. I just really like it. It's every time I use this deck, I feel like really energized. I feel like I'm tapping into the energy of the goddess energy in the cards here. I love this. I'm laughing because I know that this deck is not, like, I think it's weird. That's why. But I like these green borders. I think it's pretty. It speaks to me. But yeah, like this Tower card is kind of weird. Like it's like an estate, and then the people are, falling, have been thrown from this like mansion estate, and then there's a rooster there. I know that in the little guidebook it talks about the rooster, but like that's weird, right? That's not that, you don't usually see roosters in your Tower card, but anyway, like that's a pretty Lovers card. So it's bizarre, but I like it anyway. It's like my weird, just like a weird sensibility. I'm trying to move the card in a way so that you don't get the glare. Yeah, especially the majors. The minors are these, it pulls in the element, which I really enjoy. But the minors are really pippish. They're arranged, the pips are arranged, and there's symbolism in there in a way that pulls in that meaning of the card. So it's not, totally impossible for somebody who's new or not very well versed in numerology to read with it. Sorry if I have all of my stuff in piles around me on the floor here. So I did the full moon reading, but I didn't do the new moon reading, which was November 23rd. And that was because it was so close to Thanksgiving that there was too much, I was too busy, but that was the new moon in Sagittarius and I didn't get to that. Another practice practice that I've gotten involved in is I joined Tegan at Cosmic Creepers Tube. I joined her Patreon, and she does a beautiful monthly practice that has to do with animals. And I'm not going to, give away too much of what Tegan or Dawn Michelle do because it's a membership. So if you want to check it out, I'm going to put it in the links below. I did the animal gnosis, and so Tegan has a bunch of information that she gives about the particular animal that we work with through the month, and some spreads or activities and different things to get involved in. It is really thoughtful, very smart. And since I've been since the summer, I really got into working with animals, and as guides, as a metaphor, as study, definitely not like, I'm not an animal person in that like I'm like hanging out with the animals, but I definitely like to learn about animals. So I did the animal gnosis, and she had a particular animal that we learned about, and it was the salmon, was for the month of November. And that's, I'm not going to talk too much about what else she does, because if you're interested, you can check it out. I'll leave a link to her below. But she did a particular spread, and I'm just showing cards without even talking about what it is. And I used this deck, the Way Home Tarot, which is one of my favorites. It was a lot to do with, the metaphor of the salmon, but I won't, like I said, get too crazy into it. And I really, really enjoyed that. It was a very meaningful practice for me. There's the salmon. It was a really eye-opening, very, like, it was in the midst of all of the stuff that I had going on this month in terms of like reflecting upon specific things and specific, you know, personal goals that I have for myself and things like that. This particular practice and this understanding of, you know, animal energy was a really good thing for me. And this deck, the Way Home Tarot, I absolutely love. It's, yeah, I always say that I absolutely love this deck, but I show you decks that I like and work with, which is most of them. Yeah, I really love this deck. It's minimal, but like so beautiful, and like I can just really get into it. And I used it for a particular spread that was really, really good for me. Yeah, really good for me across different levels. And in terms of like understanding myself, which is, you know, my main thing for the tarot, like getting to know myself, understanding myself better. I've talked about that quite a bit already in my like Why I Tarot series, that this is why I'm doing this, why tarot is so attractive to me, is because of the personal self-reflection that I've been able to really engage in a way that I haven't for many years before this. So yeah, so that was one of. So something else that I didn't write down that was a practice that I did. So I was just talking about tarot in terms of like its serious applications for me in my life, and the monthly medicine, the Patreon, the animal gnosis that I've engaged in, the full moon readings, even just like my day-to-day kind of, you know, practice with the tarot is all, you know, like serious work. Like I consider it like my serious work, but I use the tarot for fun too. And I like to use the tarot in fun and creative ways. So one of the things that I did this month that I thought was so much fun was something that I did with my friend Lisa Pepez. And Lisa and I don't even know. She'll have to remind me. I think it was me that approached her about it, or we were talking about this particular show. Well, anyway, let me back up. The idea actually I got the idea originally from Maureen at The Waves of Your Soul, whom I also adore. And she was talking about how she uses the cards, practicing her tarot card readings predictively with TV shows. And I got the idea because I happen to really like crappy reality TV shows, like those really like, you know, those really like over the top reality TV shows. And I recently got into the one called Love is Blind that is on Netflix. And I was talking to Lisa about it, and Lisa watched it too. And so we both got into this show, Love is Blind. I'll pop up, if I can, like a picture or a link to it or whatever. But if I can, I don't know if I'll get fancy enough to pop up a picture of Love is Blind. But anyway, Love is Blind, basically the premise is that these people they go into these pods and they date each other without seeing one another. And then they decide whether or not love is blind. If they fall in love, they get married, they come out of the pods, then they live together, meet each other's family, blah, 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 blah. And then it all leads up to the wedding day. And so I think it was season 3 that Lisa and I were watching, and we decided that we would watch the finale together, which is the wedding days. And we were going to pull cards to predict whether the couples were going to say yes or no to one another. And it was so fun. We had such a good time. We were like, you know, it's like one of those Netflix party things, but we didn't do it on the Netflix party thing. We were just like texting back and forth with each other. And I happen to use, this is the deck that I use, that is my go-to deck for these things. This is nudity alert, but this is the erotic fantasy tarot. This is literally the only thing I ever use this deck for and I've done this before with Love is Blind. There was another relationship reality TV show that I was watching that I did this with. But yeah, so here are the backs. And it says erotic, it's called the erotic fantasy tarot, but it is really not like that, like graphic, you know? I mean, there's nudity and things like that. It feels much more like video game-esque, or like Conan the Barbarian like type of sort of thing going on here. I like it for it's actually a really good reader for predictive relationship type readings, and it was a blast to I can't remember what was the deck that Lisa used. I don't know if we even sent each other pictures. I think we just told each other what cards we had pulled and what if there was anything like significant on the symbolism. So what we did is we got to, you know, right before the wedding of whoever the couples were, and then we would pull a card for the guy and a card for the girl, and then we would discuss what we thought was gonna happen. And like honestly, it was crazy accurate. Like we were like really spot on. And it was just like a super fun thing to do with a friend. I highly recommend that that you do something like this with the tarot by yourself, you know, or even with a friend. With a friend makes it just that much more fun. But I think it was I think we both pulled the same card for one of the couples, and it was the Empress. We both pulled the Empress. I wish I could find it. We both pulled the Empress for I'm gonna flip through it now to find the Empress for one of our couples, and we were like, oh my God, we had chills. And that couple definitely, they got married, and I think we stuck through. Yeah, here's the Empress from this deck. And I think that couple, we watched the reunion one too. We didn't pull cards for the reunion. We just wanted to watch the reunion and to see what happened. And we were like wondering if that couple was going to be pregnant in the reunion. They weren't. Spoiler alert. But anyway, it was just a super fun thing that I did. And I, like I said, you know, with the tarot, things can get real serious, but it's also, it can also be a lot of fun. So you can do things like that in your practice to kind of, you know, like enliven things. And it's also a really good learning tool. I'm sorry, I'm a teacher, I can't help it. So I say things like that. All right, so let me show you again some pages from my journal so you can see like what I do and how many decks I use throughout the month. So I always like list my tarot and my oracle. I underline the ones that I wanted to share with you today. So yeah, so let me now get into like my let me tell you one more one-off that is not part of the monthly, that I didn't use as part of the monthly medicine, and then I'll show you all the decks that I use for the monthly medicine. And that is this combo of the Phenomena Oracle deck and the Star Seeker Tarot. I got these, so I always feel like I'm interrupting myself, which I always do. I always, like I have my like set out plan for monthly medicine and Thoth and like the decks that I'm going to be using for those particular things. And then I have like my cheatin' decks, which is what I think of these are. Like my decks that I just like randomly grab and use because I'm cheating on my other decks with them. That's just like my silly way of thinking of things. So this is the Phenomena Oracle. But like these are the decks that I'll grab and like use not at my desk, but like in bed or somewhere else or whatever. And they feel like, because I don't think I even wrote these down. Did I? I think I didn't even write down the Phenomena Oracle in my list. So that's like a deck that I just wanted to use, wasn't part of like a particular like practice that I was trying to engage in. Rather, it was just like what I wanted to do, like in the moment, what I felt called to. And I got this deck, the Phenomena Oracle, which is just gosh, the light isn't great for showing you cards. Unless I go like here. So it's literally just different natural phenomena, and you know, and the key word for that, so crystallize, that one's a little bit different than the others, because the others will germinate, that's, you know, the verb or whatever. But then there's like just blizzard, haboob, I think that's a dust storm, fog. And it's really simple. Hurricane. This is the one that I got, which is funny for several different reasons. Ironic, maybe, not funny. Anyway, wind, rainbow, earthquake. So this deck I used like a lot. I used it a lot for readings for myself, for my Tarot for 2 readings with friends, or Tarot for 3 or Tarot for 4. I used this deck a few times, a good number, not a few, a good number of times this month. And so what I did is I would pull a card from the Phenomena Oracle as like the energy of the day, or the energy card. And then I pulled from the Star Seeker Tarot as like how that energy is manifesting. So like Tide, is that Tide? And the 10 of Wands. I'm making an S. You see how these like match up really lovely together. Sometimes I pulled more than one card from the tarot. What do you guys think? Aren't these gorgeous together? And I really enjoyed how, you know, for me, I'm not usually, but I'm coming over to the idea of these particular oracle decks that have just like the one word that is the thing itself and nothing else. I mean, there is like a teeny tiny little pamphlet that gives you some keywords, but because this is the type of thing that I have very specific like metaphorical and symbolic connotations with, that it just makes sense to me. Not all oracle decks that are set up this way resonate for me like that, but this one definitely does. In fact, I'm going to be doing more on that type of thing with like the setup of oracle decks. That's coming. But anyway, this was a really cool one. It was my cheating on my other decks deck where I was having a lot of fun. And it was very, very spot on for a lot of the like energetic stuff that was going on in my life and my friends' lives. It worked out that it made lots of sense. And it was a good, just a really, really great symbol for what was happening around us or around me and how that was manifesting. I want to get into like my main decks that I used for the month of November, and that is what I did for my monthly medicine. And this is in no particular order, and I'm not going to talk too much about, you know, the practices and themes in the monthly medicine, but I just kind of want to talk about, I feel like what ended up happening, I just kind of want to talk about these decks. Sorry, I interrupt myself all the freaking time. I just want to talk about these decks and what they meant to me, and you know, and how I feel about them now, having worked with them, because a lot of them I worked with for the first time. But so I feel like some of the decks that I chose it was like overly ambitious in terms of trying to work with these decks, all of these decks this particular month. And I'll start with this one to explain that. So the Primordial Tarot, I've been wanting this deck for a while, and I finally got it and started using it. And I mean, my takeaway from using this deck is that it's fantastic and I love it, and it is really great for you know, getting into ancestral work. You know, Primordial Tarot, it is scenes from Primordial Man, right? This deck is it is a tarot deck, but it really does its own thing entirely. It's like loosely structured on the Waite-Smith Tarot. It has majors, it has the minors, the color, so the majors are all in black, and then the minors have these different, the majors have these black outlines, and then the minors are color coded. See, like this is the Fool card. It's a fabulous deck. So the colors don't match like elemental associations that I have with the suits. So this is the type of deck that if you're going to work with it, you really need to dedicate a lot of time to this deck alone, and use the guidebook, which is great. The guidebook is really amazing. I think this is a Los Scarabeo deck. So it has, it seems like much more meaty than it is, but it's like got the other languages that it's translated into. But it does give really wonderful, wonderful write-ups for each of the cards, explaining the symbolism. A lot of cards are really just these like portraits with like some particular like animal or bone or symbol, and the descriptions of them really kind of go outside what the descriptions in the guidebook go beyond what the simple scene is depicting. Like it really writes a story about these primordial people and animals and things that show up in this deck. So it's more involved, and it wasn't like, it was great, and I want to use it again, but I need to spend some more dedicated time with it. It didn't work the best as part of a practice with lots of other decks. That's what I'm gonna say. I did use some oracle decks with it that matched it, that like aesthetically are like super pleasing with it, and did thematically as well, and also just all around like worked with it, but like overall I just want to spend it's not just like a plug and play kind of a tarot deck. Like you really need to spend some time if you want to get the most out of it, at least, and that's how I want to get the most out of my decks. I want to spend time with it in the guidebook. And my intuition when looking at these images is one thing, but I feel like there's just so much more involved in terms of the story in the guidebook, and what this is, oh, this is so beautiful, gosh. What the story is, is getting at, that I really need to sink into it and journal, with it a lot more. So I used the Untamed the Untamed Spirit Animal Oracle is one of the oracle decks that I used with it. And this is what that looks like. It's all black and white, so it's so pretty. And it has, oh my God, I love this dog card. So cute. And it has two, usually two, sometimes three keywords down at the bottom. I like this Untamed Animal Spirit Oracle. That all of the animal oracles have similar names. But it looked really lovely and did help me kind of, you know, suss out the meaning of the message from the Primordial Tarot and what it was trying to get at, what it was trying to tell me. Let me show you what some of these look like together. Cool, huh? I'm making such a mess. Oh my gosh, otters. They're my favorite. What are the keywords for the otter? Joy and companionship. I love that. I love otters so much. So yeah, so it's a beautiful pairing there, but that wasn't the only pairing. I kind of had a trio for this particular deck, and maybe I went overboard, and that was what my issue was with the Primordial Tarot. But like aesthetically and symbolically, these decks just made sense together. So I also used the Power deck, and this was the deck that I was most excited to use this month. This is another one that I feel like I want to use more. I want to spend more time with it. I want to use it on its own as well. It is, it's beautiful. It has paintings on the front. And it has a write-up on the back that is kind of lengthy. It has its own structure. I haven't really, I didn't really spend a lot of time, you know, in the guidebook with this. Sorry for the gloss. The guidebook is good because it does describe what the painting is. So this is one of those decks that also does landscape as well as portrait. But yeah, I love these types of decks. I really do. And it has paintings across like all different kinds of stuff, like ancient ruins, Eastern, Western. That's Stonehenge. And the message on the back is usually really cool, and it gives you like a sometimes it gives you like a little bit of homework, like something to think about. Like one of the cards I had was a stone, and it said it gave you like a little exercise to do by like with holding a piece of stone, or there was another one that had to do with like time. And it was really cool. I really, oh, is this? Yeah. So let me show you what it looks like next to the Primordial Tarot. Is that? Oh, see? So you see how like beautifully they look, you know, next to one another. Yeah. Glare. But yeah, I think I just need to work with them more. I think 1 week of working with them was just not enough. So I'm definitely, you know, these are definitely decks that speak to me. I just want more time with them. Isn't that pretty? That's lovely. This is just making me want to put these back out on my table. I think the Power deck is something that I could use as like an everyday, a daily draw, you know, type of pull. Another deck that I want to and will spend more time with, but it's a type of deck that you need time with it. It's not just a, you know, quick reading and then move on about your day. This is the Ancestral Path Tarot. This is a mass market version of this deck. It's readily available, but it only comes with, why can't I find it now? Where did I put it? Oh, it has a little white book that is really small. And it's good. And I had this deck last year and used it in November last year as well. But it was, something was missing, and I just couldn't, like, I couldn't connect with it, even though I really, really loved the artwork and everything to do with this deck. Like, it is beautiful. But look at this tarot card. I pulled this tarot card, and it's these layers of historical, architecture, being, it's like man's historical ego. Like, it's so good. Like, everything about this is so good. And you can get that just from, the imagery here. But there is, the structure of this deck is, it is different than than your Waite Smith or Thoth, or just the things that I've learned about the tarot. And the reason I know that is because I found just the book. This is the guidebook, and it's out of print. So the version of this deck that comes with the guidebook like this is out of print. So I managed to snag this on eBay and for a relatively inexpensive price. And I held on to it from early this year with the idea that I was going to read and work with this in November. And I did. And I haven't read through this entire book, but I've read through a good portion of it. So it very much veers from your traditional tarot. The suits are, it's very symbolic in very particular ways. It has the suits have this journey of a seed. Each suit has a particular ancestor or ethnicity and ancestry or culture that it goes along with. So like the staves are Egyptian, and this is a major, and the pentacles are called the sacred circles, and that follows like Native American stories, and the swords follow Japanese culture, but like a very specific time period in Japan, like feudal Japan. And this book has myths and stories that align with the depictions on the cards. So I now know what I was missing. I was missing those those stories, and I just really loved having this and working with this. I really feel like you are missing out if you don't have the full guidebook. Also, the minors, instead of the story building from ace to 10, it goes backwards, and the story of the minor suit is told from 10 to ace. So there's this whole story in the suit of sacred circles, which is the suit of pentacles, that has to do with an initiation. It's like a spiritual initiation, and it's really, really amazing. There's also a story that's told in the swords, and then there's an overarching story for each suit as well, and all 4 suits together. There's a lot going on in this tarot deck, a lot. And and then the Arthurian is the cups. It's the staves is Egyptian, and it's Isis and Osiris and all of them Egyptian mythology as well. So there's just a lot going on in here, and while you could use your intuition to and have this without that guidebook, because I know it's hard to get because it's out of print, it was I need to have that experience of the story that goes along with it. That's my jam. I really enjoy mythology and story. So so that experience was really awesome. I paired this deck with these babies. I've shown these before. This is the Nature's Wisdom message cards, and these are these little baby cards that have a depiction of something from nature on the front, and then it has different messages on the back. The Ancestral Path Tarot, I put it up next to a bunch of other decks, and it really didn't want to play with anybody. It didn't want to play with anybody. It didn't seem like it had, you know, I don't know. It was so involved in itself. But these, and I like, look at the size difference here. But, for whatever reason, when I put these next to each other, it seemed like the simplicity of this particular, just this like, you know, little tiny image in nature, this little image in nature, and the card, like, look at this, is the Lovers and Cave. Ooh, that's good, isn't it? That's good. I like it. They just sing to one another, like they speak to one another. And I only used this for a week, and I think that was my, oh, look how pretty that is. I think that was my issue with these particular decks, that they need more time, and they'll get more time. They will definitely get more time from me, with me. I will definitely be using these again. And I had considered not keeping the Ancestral Path Tarot until I got that guidebook, because now I guess these look lovely together, huh? These Nature Wisdom message cards are like one of my favorites. How many more times can I say favorite? Oracle. So another pairing that I used this particular month of November is the Medicine Woman Tarot deck. And the Ancestor Spirit Oracle cards. So you can see there's sort of a theme here of ancestry and storytelling, and things like that going on in my month of November, which of course, you know, because of family, because of Thanksgiving and things like that. The Medicine Woman Tarot, for quite some time, and haven't used it. I was waiting, you know, to use it for November, because I felt like this is the kind of energy that I wanted this particular month. This is another really beautiful storytelling deck. It does go its own way. This also has a large and meaty guidebook that I believe is out of print as well, that I want to get my hands on now after seeing Tegan of Cosmic Creepers Tube. This is one of her favorite decks, and she has a really great review on it, and the guidebook. I want to get the guidebook as well. I think I'm missing something from not having this particular guidebook, but I did get quite a bit out of it, just on its own. The scenes, you know, the scenes themselves are very, you know, it's, oops. The scenes themselves are enough, or not enough, but a lot to go on. But still, I really do want to know more from the creator, and I want to read the guidebook. Sorry, my nose is always itchy. I also love, there's lots of changes made to this particular deck, and I'll point you to Tegan's review of it, because that's a much more in-depth, a great review of it. So, but the suits are renamed, the majors are renamed as well. It's got this like 70s vibe with these characters in it. Each of the suits though has one main character, and you kind of follow that main character's story throughout the suit. Something else that I really love. The majors, oh, and all the court cards have been changed as well. The little white book that comes just in the tuck box is really good too. So it goes, you know, goes over all that kind of stuff. And it's enough, you know, to make your way through it. I really loved using this deck. It's beautiful. It's so comforting and heartwarming, and I really felt like connected to these characters that are in here. It's a really sweet but truth-telling, but like grounding and earthy, really beautiful deck, and it was a great one for this month of October. No, for the month of November. I also used the Ancestral Spirit Oracle cards. This is the backs of those. This is like you guys might have known, you know, might have noticed that oracles is something that I've been experimenting with to see, you know, what kind of oracle decks work for me. I picked this one obviously because I wanted to work with ancestor energy, and I really like this one. I like it because it has a keyword or phrase like title, and then it has 3 separate words down on the bottom. So it gives you things to work with, places to go. It's a little bit specific sometimes, like notice the signs. But then it's also like, you know, balance yourself. So I like that. It's very, this one is kind of action oriented, like telling you kind of what to do, what to think about, how to be. It's, you know, messages from the ancestors to like explore your creative side. But I really do love the artwork, the keywords, and it did have a lovely, it did make a lovely pairing with the Medicine Woman Tarot. Really gentle and loving. Sorry, I'm getting used to like my rhythm of showing you cards here. Yeah, really pretty. Very, like I said, gentle, loving, kind. Truth telling though, like the ancestors or the ancestor energy and the messages coming through were not all just like, everything's okay, baby. It's like, all right, here's, you know, here's some work and things that you need to do, but in a loving way. That's pretty. Move your body and the 10 of Stones. Oh, interesting. Makes me think of Moana, right? Beautiful though, right? I think these look lovely together. What do you guys think? One more. Okay, but not least, oh no, I still have a couple more. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be the longest video ever. So I'll go quick. So the last 2 to show you, no, the last 4, I keep saying the same thing, is the Druid Craft Tarot. And this is a trimmed edge version that was trimmed and edged by my buddy Don. Druid Craft, most of us, if you've been around for a minute, then then you would recognize the Druid Craft. It's a go-to. I love this deck. It's very familiar. I've been using it since, I've been using it off and on, you know, for the longest time. I know it without the titles on it. I also think I've used this because I have another version of it, the non-trimmed version of it, I used for the tarot with training wheels that Lisa did. So I have Dawn and I have Lisa both in the Druid Craft. It makes me happy, my buds. So yeah, I have a lot of those key words memorized too. Because I'm a visual learner. And so that kind of stuff sticks with me. So the Druid Craft I used alongside the Celtic Spirit Oracle. And I won't spend too much time on this because I did a whole video on this Celtic Spirit Oracle. This one. It's really pretty. It has matte green edging. This is the backs. Yeah, I did a whole video of how this was like a deck that I used to like test my, you know, how I use and want to use Oracle cards. It's so beautiful and it worked really lovely with the Druid Craft. I like this one. I like the titles and the key words. It definitely felt very portal-like, which is something I think I said in in the video about it. And it looks, you know, really pretty next to the Druid craft. I'm making such a mess here. Yeah, super pretty. Yeah. Pentagram, protection, balance, and unity with the Queen of Swords, Queen of Wands. One more. The Lovers and Blow to Wed. Wisdom, power, transformation. Why don't we stop on the Lovers card? It's because it's my card. The Lovers card is the Gemini card, so I always pay attention to it. So yeah, so the Druid craft is you know, it's a go-to, but I really enjoyed it here with the Celtic Spirit Oracle. All right, and this is last but not least. This one is last but not least. And I don't have the boxes because they're sitting over on my desk, because these are the two decks that I'm working with right now as I wrap up, like there's like a day or two left of November. So these are the decks that I'm using. First of all, this is Paolo Barbieri's Unicorns. This is a Racine at Owl Moon 513 made me do it. Oh gosh, I hate how glossy, sorry. She raved about this deck because this is not usually my style. It's not usually my like aesthetic, but this is such a cool deck. And so it's filled with these images of unicorns and their like kind of counterpart, or there's usually like a fairy or something with them, but it'll say not a something, so like not a boat, and then it says the keyword journey. So it's really like it's a deck that makes you think, because you think about not a planet, space. There's a little bit in the guidebook, but not a raven. So it's like, where's the magic in the things that are mysterious, that you don't see, that you miss, that you tell yourself that you aren't, or yeah, not a centaur, fighting spirit. I really, really like it. I've only just started working with it. Not a dragon, purity, not a snail, calm. And it's so like the images are like out there. It's like these, you know, like a snail unicorn. It's really cool. So I'm enjoying it and seeing how this is gonna work for me. I feel like it's like a little bit of a little mystery, a bit of a puzzle, like something to think about. Using it with the Gaian Tarot, and this is my chopped up version of the Gaian Tarot. So I took it down to just the whites. It usually comes with, if you've seen the Gaian Tarot before, it usually comes with these giant blue borders and the white borders. So I chopped it down a la Don Michelle, and ended up with this. It's not perfect, but it, you know, it'll do for me. This is not an easy deck to trim. So yeah, I had planned on and wanted to use this particular deck, and I'm using it now. I always say this, but I absolutely love this deck. I didn't think this was going to be a deck for me when I first saw it ages ago. Months ago, I should say, because of these realistic, so they look like photos, but they're actually drawings, paintings. And I didn't think it was going to be for me because it was felt too realistic, or maybe too hippie or too earthy, which is not always me. But I really, really love it. And I love it next to these unicorns, or not a unicorn, oracle deck, because I think it's like rooted in like reality, rooted in your sense of knowing, and then the other deck is like rooted in your sense of mystery and like things that negate what you know. So I think that that's pretty cool. So let me show you these next to each other so you can see that that's like kind of where I was going with the idea. Oops. I don't like that child of water so much. Cool, huh? 5 of air, not a wave. Ooh, I like that. That's cool, huh? Not a mountain, 2 of water. Oh, I like that a lot. That's really interesting. Yeah. It makes me think about, you know, what I think of these particular like archetypes, you know, of mountain and the 2 of water, which is the 2 of cups. And like, yeah, it's already taking my mind places about like relationships and like the stability of relationships and what that really means. Like, is it permanent? Is it impermanent? What is, you know, what is that kind of love? What does that mean? Yeah, that's where my mind goes with stuff like this. So we have not a race and the 7 of earth. Oh, that's perfect because the 7 of earth is all about planting and waiting and evaluating. So life is not a rush. It's not a race. Look at all these animals in here too. There's all these different animals in here. It's not a rush. So these are very synonymous. These are very beautiful together. Yeah, I really enjoy that. Okay, last one. Not a hairstyle. And the elder of water. Oh, like these are cool together too. These are very different. It kind of makes me think of like, you know, modern versus traditional, and like innovative versus traditional, conventional. Innovative versus, you know, like the following the rules, not following the rules, and where does that take you in terms of your emotional landscape. That's pretty cool, right? All right, so that's it. I think that's it, right? These are all the decks that I worked with in the month of November. I look at how this guy got really filled up. I love it. So thank you so much for sticking around with me. I hope that you enjoyed that in my month gone by of November. And I hope that you all have a beautiful, wonderful day. Bye.